What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of It's Called Football. Jerry Walker alongside us always is Jackson Fyda. Jackson, we have a good episode coming to you today. A lot of exciting matches from this past weekend. A lot of very intriguing matches, both at the top of the table and at the bottom this upcoming weekend. So we'll come to you with all of that sort of stuff. And Jackson, before we get it kicked off on this Thursday evening, afternoon, maybe in California, how are you doing? How's life?
I'm pretty good. I don't know if you could pick up on this, but I've had a black eye for a few days, so that is what it is. Other than that, pretty good.
Was it a footballing injury?
It was a footballing injury.
Who'd you headbutt?
Shoulder right to the eye.
Oh.
Yeah, one of those.
Good time as always, I bet.
Always. Life of a Brexit center back. You get hit.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get hit too.
We get hit here and there, and, hey, got to deal with the punches. But we'll go right off your team on the bat. What a win for Arsenal this weekend.
It's a great win
at Tottenham. I'll let you kick it off. What did you think? What are your thoughts on this match?
Well, I honestly didn't think we looked that great.
Okay.
To be straight up. I'm very happy we got the win. And the reason I'm so happy is because we were missing a key component. And watching this game and then watching the Champions League game today makes you realize just how much Arsenal misses Martin Odegaard. 100% misses creativity. It's just lacking without him, you know? So the fact that Arsenal is able to get that win on the road against Tottenham is unbelievable. So, again, didn't play great. I don't think we lost the possession battle. They had more chances, sure. But at the end of the day, we did what we had to do. We got the goal. Got the win. I don't care who it came from. It came from Gabriel on a set piece. We'll take that any single day of the week. We got out of there against our biggest rivals with a win. That's all you can really ask for. So, again, like I said, wasn't overly enthused with how we were playing, but I kind of expected it. No Martin Odegaard. You have to mix not just Odegaard, Declan Rice as well. I can't believe I'm forgetting him. I was thinking Odegaard just because of this game. But missing out on him as well. I'm very happy with the fact that we were able to come out and get the win. Missing key guys, still able to get it done. I think that's a great sign.
Oh, most definitely. And, I mean, this also makes it 5 straight matches against Tottenham unbeaten for Arsenal. Last time we lost was, May of 2022, and that 3-0.
A long time ago.
Yeah, so it's been 5 straight unbeaten, 1 draw in the midst of it, so 4 wins, which is very impressive. And anytime you get something like this, when you have a team like Arsenal that expects to be fighting for the title, a win against your arch rival is a huge step in the right place. And a good goal from Gabriel, you got to do it, like you said, wherever it comes from. You just have to find a way to put it in the back of the net. And you got his opportunity in the 64th minute and put it away. But that first half was so scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? 7 yellow cards in the first half. Timber, but it's also like
you expect that.
Yeah.
You really do. In a game like this, you expect it to be chippy. You expect there to be challenges like that. And honestly, I like it. You're playing, again, your biggest rivals. Set the tone. Take a yellow card. As long as you don't get a red, who cares? If you're ever going to get a yellow, get it against Tottenham. So I actually thought that was a good approach. Again, very chippy, but it was a good approach. And ultimately, it paid off in the second half. When you get the chance, you bury it, get the goal. And again, I'm just really happy about it because no Odegaard, which I still think he is by far the biggest loss. Declan Rice, sure.
No, Odegaard is a huge...
But Odegaard's the biggest one. And you saw it today. But, I mean, obviously, Declan Rice being out still is a huge deal. But I feel like there are guys who can come in and fill that role. No one could fill Odegaard's role on the team. Very few players in the world can fill Odegaard's role. So the fact that we're able to get that win while missing Odegaard and on top of that Declan Rice as well. Huge positive going forward. And I'm excited about this weekend. Don't feel overly confident, but I'm excited.
Yeah, and we will definitely touch on that upcoming match in a little bit for Arsenal. But, yeah, it was impressive win because Tottenham had the majority of the possession.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, 64%?
64%,
yeah, 64%. They had more shots on target, more shots overall. But yet Arsenal still found a way to get it done. And with Champions League coming up this week. Tottenham's not playing in any European competition, so they could put their all into this, relax throughout the week. Arsenal did not have that ability, and got to give props to David Raya. I'll give him his props for against Tottenham, making the big saves he needed. But today, Thursday,
gosh,
penalty save against Atalanta.
Oh my gosh, that is the biggest save.
Stupid penalty, but what a save! I know it's the first game of this new Champions League format, which I'm still trying to get my head around. But what a performance he's had the last two matches.
Yeah,
there's a reason I guess you guys got rid of Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah, and you hate it because we loved Rambo. He was such a good keeper. But you see David Raya playing like he's playing, plus the fact that he is objectively better with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really argue it. I mean, he's one of the premier goalkeepers in the world this season with how he's been playing. I mean, he was last year as well and won the Golden Glove. But, I mean, how he's doing this year as well is phenomenal. He's an unbelievable player. I was skeptical about it at first when we were going to replace Ramsdale with David Raya. And it hurt because everyone loved Ramsdale. Man, he is so good. He is really so good.
And I want to get your opinion on one other part because I watched the majority of the first 65 minutes before I had to turn off. So I saw the goal and I went from there and had to turn off after that. But what did you think of Raheem Sterling's appearance? I know it was only the last 10 minutes, but I want to get your thoughts on that.
I wasn't able to watch it live, and this really annoyed me because of a training. But you didn't really have time to really impact the game, I feel like.
I know what I was.
It's kind of hard to judge how someone does in that limited time on, coming in like that. So I do think over time he's going to contribute, and he's going to need to because right now Martinelli's not really in great form. So there goes an option right there. He will be contributing over time. I think we just got to give him a little bit, get accustomed to how things work. At Arsenal, it's a very different environment than Chelsea. It's a different environment I guess kind of similar. I mean, he dealt with Arteta when he was at Manchester City. So I guess there is some familiarity there. But it is still different nonetheless, different players, all that. So I'd say just give him a little bit of time. I mean, we saw what happened with Kai Havertz when he first came. Didn't look very good. We're like, wow. What was the point of this, all this? Second half of the season, he turned it up. And he's been very good ever since. So I think just give him a little bit of time and he'll be there. Again, wasn't able to watch the Arsenal game live, so I can't give a full gauge of how I thought he did in that one. I think we just got to give him some time and he'll be there.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think he needs to get his time because he's still relatively I think, was this his first match with Arsenal?
Yeah.
So, yeah, first match.
He's right into this. Yeah.
Getting used to playing with people. I think he could be a very, very important part of Arsenal if they're to win the title. He'll have to be super – and there's a chance he can start, but
I don't think he will.
He could be a very good super sub off the bench.
He could be a great super sub, and that's what you need if you want to be a championship caliber, and by that I mean Premier League title caliber team. You need guys who can come in and contribute. And I'm hoping that his experience at Chelsea kind of lowered his expectations a little bit of who he is at this point in his career. Because when he went to Chelsea, he wanted to be the star guy. That's why he left. He wanted to be the guy. Didn't work out. Now you go to a team with guys who are objectively better than you right now. I'm hoping that he took that into consideration when he made the move, and that he knows his role, and that he will do his job when called upon. He does that, he'll be fine. He's definitely someone who could really help off the bench. He's got plenty of experience, plenty of speed, plenty of skill. And even though I think his finishing could always improve, he does have a history of scoring goals. Don't expect him to go light up the Premier League, but I think he could be a very solid contributor, and that's what you need if you want to challenge Manchester City for the title.
Yeah, we're not – I guess you're not saying that he's going to be up there with Erling Haaland and that golden boot, but
no one will be up there with Erling Haaland.
I think that's going to be complete domination in the golden boot race, especially the way he's playing already to start.
It's already been won. It's over, but yeah,
Sterling is the kind of guy who you want for big games, big moments, and I think that's what will benefit Arsenal in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from this, unless you have any final thoughts and. anything on this match because it is your team. So
Did you see the bench we had?
uh, it was. What was it? Really younger?
It was really young, not very deep. So the three subs who came in were Jesus, Sterling, and Waneri. Waneri's young. And then obviously Kiwior is on the bench. He's had his experience. Neto as well as an experienced player. But then after that, it was pretty young. Ismail Kabia, Maldini Kakuri, Miles Lewis Skelly, Aiden Heaven, all youngsters. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, and that's like that just shows how much of an injury and suspension for Declan Rice issue Arsenal is going through right now. When you see numbers on the bench of Neto's 32, number 32, we got 46, 7, 9, 76. It's these guys are young guys when they have high numbers. It's always how it is, and it's one of those things that the ones who came on were the veterans. Besides what. No, weary.
Yeah, Waneri. But he's like the highest prospect we have, like most highly thought of prospect we have. So,
but at the same time, it's good for these youngsters for the future having this experience, being in this atmosphere, being away to Tottenham, and being on the bench for that, and seeing what it takes to beat your arch rival. So
no, it really was. And then you also have in the Champions League game today, Miles Lewis Skelly was also on the bench. Waneri was on the bench as well. So you still had some of these younger guys on the bench today, and they had their involvement in preseason, and they're still around the first team. So it looks like a conscious effort as well by Arsenal to really focus on bringing in this younger group as well on top of the players that they already have, which honestly I'm okay with. No,
absolutely. It's always good to have the youngsters come forward and make an appearance, or if they do play, or just be on the bench and get that experience of seeing what the atmospheres and everything is like. But so Arsenal is one of the title contenders. Another title contender who we've been saying is probably the second best team in the league after Man City was Liverpool.
Yeah.
They took on Nottingham Forest, who is a relegation candidate. You think, what were our predictions? I think our predictions last week were
at least three. At least 3-0.
3-point deficit for Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'll admit it, we were very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Nottingham Forest. Liverpool had a chance, quite a few. Salah hit the post and had some other chances. Ultimately outpossessed them 69% to 31, had outshot them in every single type of shot, on goal, off target, blocks. Yet it was Callum Hudson-Odoi who broke the deficit and got the winner for Forest. What a win for them it was.
That's a huge win. I mean, we went into this not thinking they had a chance. Guess this win, I mean, again, I know it's early. We'll have a look at this later on as well. Actually put them into 7th place in the Premier League. They're doing all right to start out the year.
Yeah.
Forest is actually getting some decent results.
Like 8 points in 4 matches, and considering who they've had to play, these are the ones you need to do. They drew with Bournemouth, they beat Southampton, they drew with Wolves, and now they beat Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at Anfield, so
exactly.
Incredible start to the season for Forest, and
they're unbeaten. They haven't lost. They have not lost a game yet, and it's remarkable because no one in their right mind had Forest getting 3 points at Anfield on their bingo card. Not a single person out there, and except for maybe the craziest Nottingham Forest fans out there.
Well, and if you did have it, you either were lying to yourself or you need to be checked into a psych ward.
Yeah.
But incredible performance. They got it done. I was just in shock. I was just shocked that Arne Slot and his boys did not get it done with all the chances they had. Obviously, they hit the post, had a couple other good saves by the Forest goalkeeper, so give mad props to Matt Sells. But still, this is a game you expect Liverpool to win. And you saw how they played against AC Milan in the Champions League this week. Sure, they went down to Christian Pulisic early on, but they bounced right back and scored 4 goals. One of them was offside, but ultimately won 3-1. I'm wondering if they were looking ahead too much.
They very well may have, because every other game they've looked so good. Not just good, they've looked dominant, to be completely honest. Even against a very good AC Milan team, they looked dominant. And that was on the road as well.
Yeah.
So that honestly could very well be a factor. They're looking at it for his Champions League games. Going to be a tough one against a very good AC Milan team in Milan. And you just have Nottingham Forest ahead of you. We'll take care of them. It's just Forest. They're threatening to go down every single year. We know who we are. We'll be fine. Forest took advantage. Again, outplayed in terms of statistics. But the only statistic that really matters at the end of the game is the final score. And Callum Hudson-Odoi made sure that Forest got all 3 points. And they're looking pretty impressive so far. I don't think it'll hold. I think eventually you'll see them regress. But with performances like this, it's kind of hard to see this team going down, which is really what it's all about for a team like Nottingham Forest at this stage, at where they are in their Premier League journey. You got to stay up. You just have to stay up. And right now they're looking more than comfortable. They look more than competent. And I just don't see this team right now going down again. Expect them to regress. They will lose games. They'll drop points. We'll see them fall below 10th in the table. But they look very impressive and much better than I thought they would look.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's to have 8 points through 4 matches is always a good sign, especially when you're one of those minnow teams. They're ahead of Chelsea. They're ahead of Man U. They're ahead of Tottenham, West Ham, all these teams who've competed in European competitions for years now. So they're in a good position. It's just a matter of, can they keep it going?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find out. Team that does not have it going, and for the second straight week was up 2-0 and blew it. Shout out Everton. God. Up 2-0. So 2 weeks ago, it was Everton versus Bournemouth. Everton was up 2-0, gave up 3 late goals. This week, they're up 2-0 against at Aston Villa, which is incredible in its own right. Ollie Watkins gets a brace, one late in the first half, one early in the second half. And then Duran got a goal after coming on as a sub. Took him less than 7 minutes to break through and be that super sub to get the winner for
absolute worldie, by the way.
Was
dude can play. Dude can absolutely play. He scored another brilliant goal in the Champions League as well, but dude can play.
And he's
called it back.
He is only 20 years old, which is scary.
Hey, MLS product.
Yeah. But I mean, like, on the Everton side of things, I don't know what's going through your head at this point.
No.
You've been up 2-0, and this is a team that has still yet to even get a point in the Premier League season. Lost 3-0 to Brighton, lost 4-0 to Tottenham, and now back-to-back 3-2 losses against Bournemouth and Aston Villa while being up 2-0. It doesn't look good. They lost to Southampton on penalties in the Cup this midweek after taking the lead in that one. So it's an absolute mess for the Toffees.
It is, and Sean Dyche is under pressure now.
Oh, yeah.
You got 0 points, and you've blown 2 games where you had 2-0 leads. Again, you can be forgiven for the Aston Villa one. You're on the road against one of the better teams in the Premier League, but it wasn't the first time this happens.
No.
It's the second time this has happened. And again, it's too early to be making decisions. There's only 4 games in. Feels like it's been 10. It's only been 4. So he's still going to have time. But the concerning thing for him is, how is the team going to bounce back? Because there is no way that morale is positive right now. Morale is definitely going to be down. It's happened twice to you. You've got 0 points. You're on the very bottom of the table right now. It might be one of those situations where the players are losing faith, not just in themselves, but in the manager and the club as well. And the fans might turn very quickly. I already have turned a little bit, to be completely honest, but they might turn even more. So Sean Dyche, we get a lot of credit last season for what he did with Everton, especially with the point deductions, but he's under pressure right now. He's not going to get fired if they lose this next one, but his pressure is going to keep mounting, and eventually they're going to have to make a decision. It's coming very close if they don't start getting points. Again, very early, but you can't start off with 0 points like they have and not be concerned. Morale is down. Fan morale is down. Something needs to turn for him, and honestly, I don't really see that happening at this point. They've got a good opportunity with who they're playing this week, but that's on the road against a team that has already shown that they have spirit. And right now,
Mhm.
that's what Everton's lacking. They're lacking spirit and they're lacking that winning mentality. So, again, Sean Dyche is in a very precarious situation, not just because of the results, but because of how this is going to affect his team and how they're probably going to approach these next games.
Absolutely. And I mean, only two teams have scored less goals than Everton. There's some who are tied with 4 goals.
Mm.
But Southampton, who is second bottom, also with 0 points. And it's newly promoted Ipswich, who
Yeah.
has 2 goals. That's not cutting it. This attack is pathetic, it seems. I mean, we expect Dominic Calvert-Lewin to get goals, and he does have 2 to his
He
defense.
did get one. He did get one this game.
He has 2, but after that, it's obviously 2 other guys with 1 goal, and there's just no creativity. Defensively, they are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
It's just bad and bad and bad for Everton. This is one that, as much as I'd like to talk on Aston Villa, there's not as much to say. We expected them to win this game. Didn't expect it to be this way. But Ollie Watkins is finally finding his shooting form. And the rest of the team is kind of easing their way up. And Duran now his 3rd goal of the year.
Super sub and a half,
Yeah.
by the way. Dude is a menace off the bench.
Yeah, because this shouldn't be happening. Got a yellow card against Young Boys somehow. I don't think he even played against Young Boys. It was probably off the bench. He's got a goal. He got an assist over the international break for Colombia against Peru in their 1-1 draw. So he's finding his form, and off the bench especially.
He scored against Young Boys. They just called it back because of handball and Onana and the build-up. But the finish was absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah.
One touch, left foot curler into the bottom corner. Watching it live, I'm like, this dude's actually insane. He's going to get snatched up by somebody. Because, again, he's only 20 years old. And he's an unbelievable athlete as well, on top of his finishing ability. Again, Ollie Watkins is going to keep getting the start. But, man, Duran, man, he can play. He can really play.
Put it on your radar now, folks. He is one to watch for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
He's one to watch now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I guess he is now, but
yeah.
Give the way this Colombia team as well, going to the international side of things, has played this last year, made it to the Copa America final. And I don't even think
they outplayed Argentina for large segments.
I'm wrong, but he wasn't even part of that team. He was there, but he had no role at all.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be good to watch, and it's going to be very exciting for Colombia come 2026. The only other one from this weekend, I do want to give a quick shout to 2 teams. Shout out Crystal Palace, Mateta, getting 2 goals, a 92nd minute penalty winner or equalizer to get 2-0 with Leicester. Jamie Vardy scores again, showing that age doesn't matter. And then this Chelsea game, 15 yellow cards. I think this weekend had the most because, as we said, Tottenham and Arsenal had 7 in the first half. They had another 1 or 2. I think this weekend had the most yellow cards in a Premier League match week in history. Crazy stuff there. The other one you brought up before, though, that we are going to touch briefly on, Man U went to Southampton and won 3-0. They actually look good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big story is it's been a bad look to them. Matthijs de Ligt got a goal. Rashford got a goal. Garnacho scored. They almost went down 1-0 early, or at least in the 32nd minute, but they found a way to fight back through that and get it done. And sure, the red card at the end may have helped for the Garnacho goal, but big 3 points for a team that has not looked great.
That was massive. And again, you expect it against Southampton. Not the strongest team in the league, actually very far from it. So you'd expect Man U to go in there and take care of business. And that's what they did. And they deserve credit for that. You know, they dominated statistically. I mean, possession wasn't that outrageous. I think they only had about 5% or 55, 56% possession, but they did create 20 shots, 10 of which were on target. And you got 3 goals out of that. Those are pretty good numbers right there. So if they can be proud of that. It's again, game you should win, so you can't run with it and be like, oh, this team. But you got the result you needed. It's a good result. 3-0, very solid. Again, Probably the red card at the end helped out with the Garnacho goal because Southampton was down a guy for the final 11 minutes of the 90, plus all that stoppage time. From a Man U perspective, though, very solid.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to say on the other side, it's tough for Southampton. They don't expect to do much. As I said not too long ago, they have 0 points still through 4 matches. Aaron Ramsdale, he did all he could. It really came down to the defense was so poor. And they don't create enough attacks, so
Yeah.
not a recipe for success, to say the least. I do want to. We are 4 matches in. We just had the first international break. Let's have a quick look at the table. And is there anything that really stands out to you? Because it seems like we're already getting our kind of to where we expect it to be. Outside of Man U at 10, Tottenham at 13, West Ham at 14. Seems pretty straightforward. Man City leads the way with 12 points. Perfect in first place. Arsenal and Newcastle right behind them with 10 points apiece. Liverpool with 9, Aston Villa with 9, and Brighton with 8.
Yeah.
Does anything about that really surprise you?
I think the top 4 makes a lot of sense. Newcastle, again, last year was a down year, but so much went on with the club. Injuries, the Sandro Tonali saga. You also had Champions League on top of the Premier League to worry about. So they had all this going on. This year, it makes a lot of sense that they're at where they are right now. Again, very early, 4 games in. Top 4 makes sense. I expected to see Tottenham up a little bit higher than they're at right now. Only getting 4 points from 4 games is not good enough for this team, especially considering they draw points against Leicester. They just recently lost their biggest rivals at home. So it's been a pretty disappointing start for the Spurs. I expect them to recover. But yeah, seeing them down there, pretty surprising. Man U's about where I expected them, to be completely honest. At maybe a little bit higher. But after game number 1, that's right around where I thought they'd be. Chelsea, pretty solid. The one who's impressed the most, and again, I brought this up earlier, is Nottingham Forest. Currently sitting in 7th place with 8 points in 4 games. Haven't lost a game. They look pretty solid. Plus 2 goal difference. Scored 4, and they've only given up 2. That's remarkable for this team, I feel like. So that's been really impressive. Again, fully expect them to regress. And then Everton, man, I had hopes that they would be better this season. I gave them the benefit of the doubt when I did my preseason power rankings, and they have disappointed at every single turn. You know, I did not expect to see them dead bottom. It's where I expected to see Ipswich, which Ipswich is about there anyway. They only have 2 points, but they're doing far better than Everton. Their defense actually they look all right. They look all right. In most of their games, they've looked all right. The City game really hurt that goal difference they have right now, considering they have 2 points. But other than that, I think they've actually looked pretty solid. Wolves has been disappointing as well. But yeah, I mean, the biggest surprises for me right now, Tottenham so low, Forest so high. Apart from that, top 4, bang on, about what you'd expect. Maybe I thought Tottenham would be in there. And in the bottom, minus Everton, it's looking basically kind of like what I thought it would look like.
Yeah, I get that. And I mean, the only one that I'll mention that's kind of surprising me otherwise, outside of those teams you said, because obviously it is Forest being good, Tottenham being shit.
Yeah.
They go, it's that stuff. But Brentford.
Yeah, solid.
They're sitting 9th at the moment. Sure, they lost to Man City at the weekend, but they went up 1-0 a minute in. And that's impressive. We've seen, and we talked about it earlier or last week. Man City continues to give up goals early, and that's a concern I have down the road. I think they still win the title, yes, but that's just something to keep an eye on. The big thing for them is they're beating teams they need to beat. Their 2 losses are Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone blames them for that.
No.
Losing your star striker and Ivan Toney as well, and they're still getting goals, is impressive. So props to them. I'll give them credit where credit is due.
I will say this. I wonder if losing Ivan Toney is honestly a better thing for the club. To not be so reliant on one guy, a guy who was problematic last year with the suspension, and then he didn't really return in the greatest of form anyway. I wonder if this could actually be beneficial for Brentford to learn to play without Ivan Toney. We'll see. We'll see how it's unfolding. how it will unfold. I'm not sure either way, but they've got guys who can score. So maybe this will be a good thing. Maybe this is the kick in the ass they need to progress, really, not just be avoiding relegation, finishing in like 15th place, and being a team that could finish in the top 10 consistently. We'll see. Maybe this is what they needed. At early days, but like you said, they've looked pretty impressive, and that's without Ivan Toney. So maybe it's a positive thing. Maybe they have learned how to play without him.
Yeah, which if you have, that's a very good thing because, as we've talked before, he is a very good goal scorer. He's a natural goal scorer, and sure, he had his suspension for all that stuff, but
Yeah,
he's still a very good player. And we saw it with England this summer and England the international break. He finds ways to do things.
yeah.
I want to just say one more shout for a team that's surprising me is Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it, and Brighton has a good team, good players, good manager. They sit sixth at the moment with 8 points. Drew with Arsenal, which was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointing result this past weekend, in my opinion. You can't go from beating Arsenal, go through the international break, and then drawing with Ipswich at home. They did beat Man U, they beat Everton, but everyone who's played Everton's beat Everton. So can't take much from that. But the 2 results against the 2 top 6 or big 6 that they've played have been superb. And that's very good to see for Brighton going ahead.
And it's with a new manager, a young manager, who's younger than some of the players in this league. Yeah, it's been a very good start. Again, for a while, we're saying they look like arguably the best team in the league through the first few games. Bad result against Ipswich, but they still find themselves in a very good position. Honestly, it's not that crazy seeing Brighton teams of old being in spots like this. But again, we didn't know how this Brighton team would play. New manager, they're going to have to mix things up a little bit. They've looked pretty good.
And they have a very manageable schedule coming up for the most part. On paper, it looks very difficult, but they're home to Forest, at Chelsea, and home to Tottenham. All 3 of those teams have been very disappointing in their own right. Forest being the outlier, who's actually been surprisingly decent. But Chelsea and Tottenham have disappointed. I'm concerned that because they do those 2, then they go to Newcastle, home to Wolves, and then at Liverpool and home to City. I think those back 4 of the next 7 could ruin their hopes for a lot of things. And so getting points like this are very big for them.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else on this past weekend's matches that you want to touch on the table?
I think we basically got it.
Covered all the good stuff. So let's look ahead. For the second straight week, your boys are the match of the week.
Yeah.
And unlike last week where I think I predicted Arsenal to get the win, it's going to be a hell of a time going to the Etihad to take on Man City.
Yeah.
Well, like always, when it's Arsenal related, I'll let you kick it off. What are you expecting to see? What are you worried about? What are your predictions?
I like our back line against City. I really do. Gabriel and Saliba can handle Haaland. They've done it before. They did it last season. And I think they can do it again. They've got the physicality. I think Saliba is arguably one of the best, if not the best, defenders in the world right now with how he's playing. He's been phenomenal. He's so good. And the fact that he's so young and so good is actually just mind-boggling. But he's unbelievable. And Gabriel has been so solid as well. They're both good in the air. They both are physical. They both can tackle when need be. So I actually feel very confident with those 2, plus Ben White, who's been solid, and Jurrien Timber, who's an athletic menace, as well as an incredible defender as well. I like our back line. But do I like him enough to keep City out the whole 90 away is the question. I don't know. I'm going to say City wins 1-0. I don't think with Odegaard out, I don't think we have enough creativity going forward to break him down. Now, the one really, really important thing to note is that City's defense has not looked good. They've given up early goals. They've scored own goals. They haven't looked clean. So is going to be a chance to punish him. There 100% is. And if we had Odegaard, I'd feel really confident that he could string together some beautiful passes that could set us in. But without Odegaard, who's going to be the creative force who gets things going? We need Saka to show up. Saka didn't show up in the game today. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He needs to show up against City if we want a chance of winning. Martinelli hasn't looked too solid. If he starts, he needs to score. If Sterling plays, he needs to be solid. Trossard needs to be solid. Havertz needs to be solid. Every single person needs to be solid. Because realistically, we're going to lose the battle in the midfield. And their attack is stronger than our attack. So it's just you're just gonna have to show up. Straight up. You're just gonna have to show up. With no Odegaard, it's not going to be as pretty as it could be. Arsenal's just gonna have to show up. They're gonna have to defend. And they're going to have to take advantage of the opportunities that they're given when they come up. Again, I'm going to go 1-0 City. I don't think it's Erling Haaland who gets the goal. I think someone else will, because I think there will be so much attention put on Erling Haaland, especially by Saliba and Gabriel, that leaves an opening for somebody else to come in and score the goal. I think they will get the 1-0 win. I just don't think there's enough for us to really create without Odegaard. And it's really sad to see, but I just saw it against Tottenham where not a lot really. And then I saw it today where it's just nothing. So I think that's my biggest concern heading into it. And City, they've gotten the 4 wins that they needed to. Again, they really haven't played anybody. This is going to be their first true test. But I feel confident that they'll get it done. The biggest thing for them is their defense needs to be clean. Because Arsenal has the players who can punish you if you make a mistake. We've got the speed. We've got the talent. It's whether or not we'll have the goal scoring on the day. You know, if Gabriel Jesus starts, will he finally get back into that goal scoring form that he had when he first got to Arsenal? Will Saka be able to get something going? Will Martinelli be able to get something going? I don't know. I don't think it'll happen this game. I'm going to go 1-0. I think it might be a bit of a slugfest. I think I could see it being that way. City's obviously going to have more of the possession, but I think it might be a pretty boring game for the neutral, and I think it'll be designed that way by Arsenal. But I do think City will eventually get that one goal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I see it being 1-0 with a Jack Grealish goal. I feel like he's the kind of guy that's going to figure something out and get through on the right ball and get it done. And my concern for Man City is it doesn't sound like Kevin De Bruyne is going to be playing. He picked up a little injury yesterday against Inter Milan in the Champions League. That's a big loss for Man City. He's their distributor. He's their quarterback. He's the one who runs everything going forward. And without him, it's quite a bit of a drop-off.
It is, but they still have creative players, though.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and the guys who come off the bench, I could see Gundogan starting. I could see Bernardo Silva starting instead of him. But it's going to be a spicy one.
Yeah.
For sure, and one that you don't want to miss. I think we're on board both. 1-0, that's what I'm taking.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's what you're taking. So there we go. And then we're going from the top of the table. The 2 best teams in the league, Man City and Arsenal. We're going to go to the bottom of the table.
Hell yeah.
Big, might not be big right now, but it'll be big looking down the road. Leicester takes on Everton in Leicester, and Southampton hosts Ipswich. We'll start with the first one. Leicester-Everton. Does Everton finally get something done, or because I don't think so. I think Leicester is more, as you said earlier, they have more fight to them. Everton does not have any sort of fight. Jamie Vardy looks like he's trying to will this team to safety, and this is a huge 6-point swing if they can get it done.
Yeah, again, I alluded to it earlier. I don't have confidence in Everton right now. They need something to go their way. So this is a big opportunity for that to happen. If you could pick up 3 points against another team that's kind of in a similar spot, obviously higher up right now, but overall in a similar spot, especially do it on the road, it's a huge momentum changer. But I just don't see that happening.
No.
I mean, morale's just got to be as low as it could be right now. Whereas Leicester's actually gotten some results. They showed some promise. Disappointing not to get all 3 points from last week. But you got a great opportunity to go and get all 3 points this week, you know? And they've got a dude who's scoring goals still. He's got the experience up top, Jamie Vardy. And I really think Leicester's got a decent squad, not one that can go get them back to the place where they were once competing for Champions League spots, but one that could easily stay up in the Premier League. So if I'm Leicester, I'm looking at this like this should be 3 points all day at home as well. And I think that's what will ultimately happen. I think Everton gets 1, but I think they give up 2. I think it's 2-1 Leicester City. I think Leicester's in control though for most of the game. I don't think they go down.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't think it's a third straight, or I guess technically fourth straight, if you include the cup game for Everton where they took a lead and then blew it. You think Leicester gets the goal first?
Yeah, I think they get the goal first. Maybe Everton ties it, but I don't think Leicester's ever down.
I think Leicester gets the only goal. I think it's going to finish 1-0 to the Foxes. For all the same reasons, like they just have it more. They want it more. They look better. Everton already looks like they've given up. I'm curious to see how long Sean Dyche lasts.
Yeah, he's in a precarious spot right now.
And you look at their next set of fixtures, it's very, very manageable, and they should pick up points, you would think. Away to Leicester, home to Palace, home to Newcastle, they'll probably get whooped there. But at Ipswich, home to a Fulham team that's disappointed, and at Southampton. That finishes out to the beginning of November. They need points drastically. Otherwise, this season might get away very, very quickly. Because as we discussed on other episodes, you look at their December fixtures. Home to Liverpool. It's a derby, but Liverpool seems to always have their number.
Yeah.
Arsenal the following week. Home to Chelsea next. At Man City. Home to a good Forest team. That is a brutal stretch of games. And look at it before, beginning of December, first day, they're at Man U, then home to Wolves. Then it's all into that. So they have to get points now. The next 7 weeks are massively important, and I just don't see it going very well for them.
Yeah.
Another match at the bottom, as I said, Southampton and Ipswich. This one I have no idea. The other one I felt confident, like Leicester's looked like the better team. These two teams have both looked just dreadful so far, and I might give Ipswich a slight advantage so far in the table. Yeah. It's like two bad teams playing each other. This is one of those other ones.
Mm-hmm.
What are you expecting from this? Do you have anything opinion-wise? It seems like one of those ones that it's at Southampton.
Mm-hmm.
They are desperate for points. They finally got a win in the cup game where they beat Everton on penalties. Otherwise, their only other win this season was Cardiff in the last round of the cup. So it's not looking good. They've given up 3 goals in back-to-back matches in the Premier League. I don't know. I don't want to take Southampton, but I still feel like they will finally, the St. Mary's crowd will get something going.
I like Ipswich's defense more than I like any other aspect of this game.
Okay.
Obviously, the City game really put a hurt on their goal difference. I think Southampton's been dreadful across the board. I think Ipswich has at least showed promising signs of defense. Get a nice little 0-0 draw at Brighton. That's impressive right there. Right before that, 1-1 against Fulham. Only gave up the 1. They've showed signs of promise recently. Whereas Southampton has shown nothing to give me any sort of hope that they could turn it around, both offensively or defensively. But I do think Ramsdale could come up big for him and make the saves. He's shown that.
That's where I think the difference will be.
Yeah. That could be what it is, really, because Ipswich isn't going to create as much as the other teams have on him. So because of that, I'm going to go 0-0. I don't think Ipswich concedes, but I really think Ramsdale saves them when he needs to, and I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's one for the sickos. It is going to be 0-0.
This is one that, if you're your choice of the 9 o'clock games of these relegation sides, obviously there's a few others going on at 9 a.m. Central Time, or I guess 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
On Saturday, but this is one that if you're not a loyal fan of this team, I don't know what you're watching for at all. But we'll see. I like the 0-0 shout. I'm gonna back Southampton 1-0, but it's like I am not convinced by that.
It's this. It's a toss-up.
It's
You really don't know.
Well, I'm gonna roll a dice and see what happens.
Yeah.
Complete luck of the draw. The only other one I think we're gonna go in depth on this week is West Ham Chelsea. Not a insanely good match. Two teams that are very disappointing so far, but it's a London derby, and that's where this makes it interesting. At West Ham, they got battered in last week's Premier League 3-1 to Man City, drew with Fulham this week in the Cup. Or was no, their draw was this week in the Premier League. Sorry. Getting all this. There's too much going on. It's
all this action.
Because half these teams are playing cup games and half these teams aren't, but whatever. I'm going to take West Ham. I think Chelsea's just too bad. I think West Ham this is going to be the one where all their summer signings are finally going to pay off and it's going to get going. And I think they win 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to back them too. They have yet to win a home game, West Ham. But you look at who they played at home. They had to play Manchester City and Aston Villa. The Villa one was tough. They were in that city. And I think, looking in their league history, they've never lost each of their first 3 at home in a single campaign. I don't think it starts here. I don't think Chelsea's going to do it. I mean, they got the win against Bournemouth. Nkunku got his first goal of the campaign. I just don't think they'll do it in this one. West Ham's, I think, a better team than Bournemouth. They've, again, like you said, they had all these summer signings. They've got some class with them. I think they'll take advantage. They'll get the win at home. I'm going to go 1-0. I think it'll be a tight game. It'll be a close game. I think both teams will have opportunities to go and get the win because I think both of these teams are pretty evenly matched at this point. But I think West Ham will get the win at home with the energy. Again, they haven't lost all 3 of their first home games in a Premier League campaign. Historically speaking, you got to back them to do well in this one, right?
Yep.
See if that holds true, but I'm going to stick with it. I do think 1-0. I was going to say West Ham before reading that stat anyway. So give me West Ham 1-0.
And my thing is the only thing I'm concerned about for West Ham is they do play Liverpool next week in the Cup. I guess they're making it 2 weeks because Champions League this week and obviously all this is played, but they're at Liverpool next week, and I'm wondering if they're going to put a good squad out for that one instead and try and make a cup run.
No.
Honestly, I think they go heavy on this one. They try and win this game, and Chelsea looks a little lackadaisical because they play Barrow on Tuesday in the Cup. So I have Everton or West Ham winning this one.
Yep.
Are there any other matches you want to go in depth on, or you want to just hop into some predictions for the rest of this weekend?
So we hop into the predictions. Let's do the fun stuff.
Let's do it. Absolutely. This is where things get heated. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have our rants. We actually haven't had one today. So
we've been on topic today. It's been good.
There's been a lot to talk about, which is a good thing because last time it's not so much. But...
And we're 48 minutes in. It's not like we haven't been talking a lot. Like we've just had so much stuff to cover.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Iowa football or anything coming up yet. But
don't even get me started on Cade McNamara.
We won't. We're going to go stick with this for this week somehow, some way. But we'll start with Aston Villa and Wolves. At Aston Villa, I'm not concerned at all. No. Wolves have looked dreadful so far, as we discussed a little bit earlier briefly. Aston Villa seem to be finding their way a bit. Give me 2-0 Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins brace.
Yeah. I think Watkins gets a goal. Give me 3-1. I'll give Wolves a gratuitous goal. Why? I don't know. Feel like it. But I think two goal win as well. I agree with that.
I like it. Fulham Newcastle at Fulham in London. I want to back hometown team. That's where I was born in Fulham, Fulham Cottage. But I think Newcastle gets this done.
Yeah.
Score-wise, what are you thinking on this one?
I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to give Newcastle 2-0. I don't know who scores, but they've got plenty of guys who look like they can score right now. Harvey Barnes looked really good over the weekend. They'll get 2 goals from somewhere. I'm going 2-0.
See, I'm gonna back Fulham. I think Fulham takes the lead somehow at home, but I agree. Newcastle gets it done. I'm going 2-1 Newcastle, but Fulham gets out first. On this next one, are we going to make the same mistake we did this past weekend? Liverpool hosting Bournemouth. I don't think lightning strikes twice. I'm taking Liverpool to win comfortably.
I'm going Liverpool as well. They've looked so good in every single game except for the one that they lost last weekend.
I want to say, even in that Forest game, they had the better chances. The ball
they were the more dangerous team. Yeah, they still played like how they've been playing. They just weren't scoring like how they've been scoring.
Yep.
I think that'll piss them off, and they'll just come out and run them.
I think
it's at least 3-0.
And we saw what they did against AC Milan in Italy. Momentum carries over, and I think they run through this Bournemouth side.
And what I liked about that was it was the center backs who got things going. You know, after a game where you couldn't get anything going offensively from your attackers, it was your defenders who got things going, and from there everything was easy. Someone stepped up when they needed to. Konate and Virgil van Dijk both got themselves goals, and from there it was easy. I think that'll just give them all that confidence heading into this one. Their attack will be just fine.
Agreed. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Van Dijk goal. And as we saw in the Champions League, seems like he's found his way. He had a rough season last season, and it seems like he's kind of correcting his ways to be one of the reason why he's one of the best defenders in the Premier League and in the world.
Yeah, he still is. He still is elite. He's one of the best in the world. He still is.
I think this is one of the more intriguing matches of the weekend. Tottenham hosting Brentford. Another London derby. I'll let you go first because I am not sure on this one at all.
Well, Tottenham is going to enter this needing to start getting some results going their way. It has been a frustrating start to the campaign. Sitting on 4 points after 4 games. That's not good enough for a team with the amount of quality that they have. Brentford, like we said earlier, they've looked pretty good. They've had a very solid start, especially considering the whole Ivan Toney situation. So if you're looking at straight form, you'd give it to Brentford. I'm going to back Tottenham because I think they're going to look at this as one that they need to win. And again, I love Ange as a manager. I think he'll have him ready to go. And again, Tottenham does have the quality. At the end of the day, they're a better team on paper than Brentford. And I think that's what's going to get them over the line. They're going to get this win. I think Brentford's going to be in it. They're going to have their chances. I even think they'll get a goal, to be completely honest. But I do think Tottenham takes this one 2-1. They get a much-needed victory, one that can give them positive momentum to get them to start climbing back up the table to where they belong.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. I think Tottenham will get it going. I think Brentford, this will be a game where their striker will have a missed opportunity here and there, and it'll be like, oh, I wish we had Ivan Toney. I could see Solanke, if he's playing, coming off the bench and getting something done. I could see Son getting a goal here. I think Tottenham wins 2-0. This is my upset of the week, and I have my reasoning behind it. Obviously, I'm not a Man U supporter by any means, but Man U at Crystal Palace. Last season, Crystal Palace did the double. 1-0 at Old Trafford, 4-0 at home. The year before they lost 2-1 at Old Trafford, but they got points at home. Before that, they won at home. Last time they dropped point or didn't get points against Man U at home was the 2019-2020 season. It was in 2020. I'm taking Crystal Palace to win this one 1-0. No, I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll be very similar to the Brighton game where they get a stupid goal late and get the 3 points over Man U.
So I'm going to carry off what you just said, add a few more stats here.
Yeah.
Man U lost, obviously, they're like last season, they lost both games. They've also lost 2 of their last 3 away league games at Crystal Palace. And in the last 10 meetings between the two, Palace has won 5. And they've drawn 2. So in recent time, Palace has had their number. And that's something that people probably don't really realize, but Palace has really had their number. I'm going to go 1-1. I don't think either team gets to win, but I don't think Palace loses.
I mean, the way Palace has been playing lately, it's 2-2 draw last week against Leicester.
Mhm.
1-1 draw with Chelsea the 2 weeks before the international break. They did lose to Brentford and West Ham, but that Brentford game, they had their chances and just did not take advantage of them. West Ham, they were completely blown off the pitch, but I think it's going to be a standout performance by Dean Henderson. If he's the one who gets the start, it seems like he's been the one who's getting the start,
He still will.
and I am sure he will. I don't know if Matt Turner is going to – we love Matt Turner. Actually, we don't, but I
Used
don't
to.
used to. I don't think he'll get anything going, and I like Eddie Nketiah to get a super weird goal, whether he's starting or off the bench. I think he gets one. He's going to represent Leeds well from his time there and beat the Man U team.
Hey, and as
Bold
an Arsenal
take.
fan, would love it as well.
Yep. We got the Arsenal. We got the former Leeds players as well. It's going to be fun. I think Eze will play a very big role, and I just don't know. There's something about Man U that concerns me. Whether it's the injuries they have or just the way they're playing, something seems iffy. With that being said, they also did beat the living hell out of Barnsley this week, 7-0.
But it's Barnsley.
Exactly.
You
That's what I'm saying. League One team, you're meant to, but you get 7 goals. Garnacho scored a pair. Rashford scored a pair. Christian Eriksen scored a pair, and he doesn't score goals very often. That's my concern, is that they could keep the momentum going, but I don't think they do. I'm backing Crystal Palace, as I said.
Yeah.
Last one of the weekend, or I guess not the last match of the weekend, because we have Man City and Arsenal 11:30 on Sunday afternoon. But the morning game that day, Brighton and Nottingham Forest. The two surprise teams so far in the top half of the table. I'm taking a draw on this one. This will be my 1-1 draw. I think Forest gets an early goal. Well, by early, I mean first 25 minutes. I think it's sloppy for a little while, and then I think Brighton gets something late, as we saw them do against Man U, as we've seen them do time and time again. I'm backing it to be a draw.
I don't mind that pick. Again, Forest has looked very solid to start the season, but I'm going to back Brighton in this one. I think they were obviously you didn't get the result you wanted last weekend against Ipswich. I think they're going to go out and rectify that with a 2-0 victory at home against a team that, again, on paper they should be beating. They've looked really good in every single game except the Ipswich one. I think that continues in this one. Again, Forest, well done to start the season. I don't think they'll look bad in this one. I just think Brighton's better, and they're at home as well. And I think they'll punish Forest when given the opportunity. So I'm going to go 2-0, but I could very easily see Forest getting a point or maybe even getting all 3 points out of this, just like they've done the first 4, because they've been very, very impressive to start the year.
Well, there we have it, folks. We have our predictions. Let us know if you think we're right or we're going to be dreadfully wrong. I can see some of our predictions going AWOL.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had people last week. This is what's fun about this. Our predictions don't mean anything. It's just what we think. Sometimes, at least this week, we had a bunch of reasoning for everything, for the most part. Last couple of weeks, I know there's been games where I've been like, I'm going to pick them because why not? It's like you said, it's a complete toss-up. But exciting weekend coming up. Make sure you do not want to miss Man City and Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Tune in.
Hell of a game.
Wear your red.
You confident? Feeling nervous?
Yes. To nervous. No to confident.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yep.
Well, folks, make sure you guys subscribe to the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our shows. We have a whole load of other podcasts. So the NBA season is coming up. I'm just going to selfishly plug that. We're going to do a whole load of NBA team previews. So if that's your sport as well, if you're a football and a basketball fan, tune into all of that. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.